So this is Cape Without a Battery Live. We're here at the Davidson's booth.
Yes, we are.
And who is here with me today?
I'm Rob Pincus. This is the Avidity Arms PD10, and they're the ones selling it, which is kind of cool.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do they have the sort of sole distributor rights to the firearm?
They are our launch partner for the optic cut version of the PD10. So we are doing dealer direct for the regular slide version. So you can go to avidiarms.com if you're interested in being a dealer, you're interested in being a part of our range program. We're also going to be doing the range rental support program directly. But right now, we're super excited about Davidson's taking us into the catalog, putting us on the gallery of guns. Their reach, their respect inside of the retailer network in the industry is just, I think it's honestly their top. They were my first call. I didn't have to call anybody else because they said yes. It was very exciting for me. I've known these guys for almost 3 decades now, I guess, and they do amazing work, great relationships, and they also have a great backup plan for they take care of every one of their customers, especially through Gallery of Guns. So having the gun here at SHOT Show 2023 after a long struggle was going to be exciting no matter what. Being partnered up with them is even more awesome. And, we've got some really big things in store, right? We're obviously going to be going customer direct as well for the gun makers, which is exciting.
So talk to me a little about that, because I think you might be the first company to ever do that.
I'm still sort of like accepting the fact that I'm apparently a gun company now, right? So I guess now I am a legit firearms manufacturer. We're part of that side of the industry. I've been in training and education and marketing and all the other stuff that I've been doing for so long that now I have a thing that we sell, right? And it's a gun. And that means gun makers should want to make it. And what I want to do, if you look back at basically everything I've said for a little over 2 years now, right? When I first started getting into 3D printing and I was doing a lot of stuff with even 80% things, and I really got excited about normalizing that, or maybe inviting regular gun owners who weren't already gun makers into the gun making side. I remember how exciting it was to do the build, don't buy, when that just meant buy a strip lower and put parts together, right? Well, this is a whole other thing, right? As we know, the thing with the 80%, that's a thing. Then the 3D printing is its whole own thing. And right now we've got some great guys, some of the guys I trust the most in the community that I've met over the last couple of years, working on the differences between what this injection molded frame is, the internal dimensions, and what the 3D printed internal dimensions need to be, so that the day that this gun is going to be in gun shops, which now is about 30 to 45 days away, by that day, I want the 3D printing community to have a file and a README and a guide and a place to buy the parts. That place is going to be JSD Supply. So we're going to be a lot cheaper than the gun. I hope the gun makers are you know what, I'm going to make one. I'm going to buy one of the other ones too. But if all you're going to do is 3D print one, you're going to be able to get the parts kit for much less than people are going to buy the actual gun for, because I respect the art, the craft. You're putting the work in. I know how hard it is, right? Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So a lot of cool things right now. All of a sudden I'm a gun manufacturer, I'm still a gun maker. We get to support gun makers, and to your point, the first real company in the industry that's saying, here's our current gun. It's not even available in stores yet, but we're going to make the frame available and the parts available to the gun makers at the same time. And I'm excited about that. And I hope Glock and Ruger and SIG and everybody else does it. Not just normalize gun making for the sake of normalizing gun making, but normalize industry relations with gun makers is part of the mission now.
So on that topic, what do you think about, I believe the name of the platform is the Ultra Ligero platform by Beretta, where they released those side plates?
I was so disappointed when they did that, because now they get to say they reached out first, but I was talking about it first. But obviously I wasn't disappointed. I thought that was a really cool move. And it was interesting, right? It was completely, to me, if you were to pick any company out here that was going to do anything, even as simple as the side plate is decorative, right? It's not a functional thing. Even as simple as that is, for any company to reach out formally to 3D printers and say, we want to hang with you guys, we want you guys using our stuff, it wasn't the 500-year-old shotgun company that I was thinking was going to do it. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I was a little bit oh man, they kind of got there first. But then I saw what they were doing, and I'm we're doing a lot more than just put your own my logos on the gun. You can change that if you want. We put some different textures. All you guys are going to do that, right? I do that with Bob. So that's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it in a way that I'm going to roll my eyes and be like, children, stop. Right?
Stop putting dicks on my gun.
That's what I wasn't going to say, dicks. Don't do it. Don't.
The more you reject it, the more they do it,
I know. It's like a love-hate relationship. That's fine. But somebody's going to do a whole bunch of cool things. Here's the other thing that I like, and I've explained this to my, engineers, our actual real development team inside, right? This development people out here, They're going to do things that are completely ridiculous, but they're also going to do things that are really neat and innovative and incremental. And I am 100% certain that somewhere in the life of Avidity Arms, probably within the next couple of years, somebody's going to do something that I'm going to send them an email, a text, a PM. I'm going to call, who knows this guy, take the balaclava off. I got to talk to you because I want to write a contract with you so that we can sell what you're doing as Avidity Arms. Because you've taken an incremental innovation or evolution of my design or one of our guns or one of our things that we now want to sell, and there's points in that for you, right? And it should be gun people, the gun community, not gun makers over there and the real industry over here. Gun making is as much a thing as manufacturing is, and they're really a lot of the same things sometimes. So I think all those opportunities are just, to me, they're exciting.
Something that was kicked around as a sort of catchphrase.
I'm going to put this away. I feel
in AWCY for a long time was, some of these designers are building resumes.
Sure.
And it sounds like, this is starting to become not a joke. This is going to be a thing now.
I don't see any reason why it's not. And that doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really mean like, hey, we've got an office for you and benefits and all that stuff, maybe. But right now, I absolutely, so much of this is there's people I know in the community that get mad about the businessing of gun making, right? Or the businessing of gun CAD or the businessing of development. I don't understand that, because a lot of people, like for me, I always say like money shows up. As an educator, I wanted to influence, right? As an educator, I wanted to change the way we do things. As a gun rights guy, I want to change minds. As a gun responsibility advocate, I want to change behaviors. I wanted to bring this thing into being. If I wanted to sell a bunch of guns, I would have designed this gun differently. This is the gun I wanted to build. So that to me is the payback. So I'm businessed by the feedback I get in any of those endeavors. Sure, money has to show up to pay the bills, whether it's from me or from somebody else. I don't know why that would be like shunned, right? If there's, you can give away, right? If that person says no, all the money goes to FPC. Okay, all the money goes to Second Amendment Foundation. Okay, and if you say keep it, I just wanted the glory. Cool, right? But I think guys should do something with that money, and I'm at least going to offer it.
So on the topic of like FBC and some of these other organizations, we visited a few today. I'm not going to name any names, but we talked with them.
Oh, we can say dicks, but we're not going to name names.
Well, I don't want to be antagonistic with them because by and large, they all rejected the question, what do you think the future of home building looks like? What do you want to talk about? What your policy
like when you
or
say rejected it, like they rejected it, like
they didn't want
have an
us
answer?
to go on camera and talk about it. And
let's go talk. Let's go. I know these. Let's go talk to these guys. I'll talk to them. Why would they not talk? I don't understand. I mean, let's just use. There are at least two major organizations in the industry who have directly supported financially and promotionally the Gunmakers Match, right?
Okay.
So we can talk about them. Firearms Policy Coalition and the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers, which is a mouthful, but it's the NASGW. And there's like NSSF runs SHOT Show. NASGW is sort of like Davidson's is a very small market for the wholesalers, whereas this is for retailers and media, right? So NASGW is a much smaller show, but it's huge volume.
Okay.
They donated cash and supported the Gunmakers Match. They get it. Polymer 80, they've been very close to Polymer 80 for years. They get that this should be more synergistic, the industry and the gun makers. So when you look at that, and then you look at the work, obviously, that Firearms Policy Coalition is doing, how about Second Amendment Foundation? Second Amendment Foundation has done a lot with Cody Wilson, right? And the whole freedom of speech thing and the ITAR stuff. So when I get where maybe the person you talked to didn't want to jump in and be part of the thing. They didn't know what to say and they were uncomfortable, and you have long hair and that shirt's kind of, I
look like a hippie
now. Right, yeah. And I could see that being a thing in a moment, but when I know these organizations and I look around, FOAC. You know what FOAC is?
No.
See, that's why I didn't want to talk to you. So, I don't know. Firearms Owners Against Crime, 18 months ago in Pennsylvania, thought it was probably a good idea to take all the Polymer 80 kits out of gun shows because they heard from somebody in the administration that so many gangbangers were buying their kits for cash and it was crazy and bedlam and this and that. This is a gun rights organization in Pennsylvania. The person who said that is no longer speaking for that organization. That organization is a sponsor of the Gunmakers Match, which is going to be in Pennsylvania this year. That organization put out a long newsletter about 3 weeks ago that said, we love gun making. We understand there was some confusion in the past. We know this is a hobby. This is law-abiding people. There's things that happen that are negative involving firearms, and there's some people who probably shouldn't have firearms that sometimes get their hands on firearms and do bad things, but that's not what gun making is, and we are 100% on board. I can see where, yeah, at SHOT Show, that's like, oh, I don't know what to do with my hands. But at the same time, there are demonstrable ways that these organizations are stepping in and stepping up. That won't happen if the impression is left of, oh, they don't care about us, so F them, and we're going to continue to just, be funny guys on the internet. We need these relationships, right? And I get it. I kind of straddle that. Second Amendment organization, if I get to count my own gun rights organization, we're obviously very clearly pro gun making. We're pro 3D printing. We're pro no regulation. Regulating gun making is what happens there is you're essentially saying no more private transfers. It's universal background checks, but coded, right? Because if I can buy a gun from you without any government involvement whatsoever, which is how it should be, then what's the difference between that and me making a gun without any government involvement, right? I have to have a license to manufacture this thing because I want to sell it to you. But I also, if you're not in my state, I have to sell it to somebody else who sells it to somebody else who then sells it to you. And the government gets a piece of that every time, plus the licensing fees, plus all that, right? So I'd much rather sell a kit that I sell a parts kit to somebody who's going to make their own thing, and that thing is not regulated, and I don't know about it, they don't know about it, nobody knows about it, the person who makes it knows about it, and there isn't a government 10% here, 11% there, 6% there every time that thing changes hands either, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So, there's a lot of investment against what the gun making space is doing. There's a lot of people have investment in stopping that. Almost none of it has to do with, I don't want people to have guns. It almost all has to do with the establishment or the business or the structure, right? And it's breaking down those, this is how we always do it. I've been in this is my 26th SHOT Show, and we took a year off, right, for the COVIDs. When I showed up in the training industry over 20 years ago, I looked around, I was like, none of this makes sense to me. And I can't accept this is how we've always done it, and this is how we do it as an answer.
So I think there is a unsavory, from our perspective, answer to that, and you brought it up already, which is on a lot of polymer frame guns, a very big percentage of the markup is the polymer frame. How do we work around that as people who want to advocate for gun making?
Well, take a look at what I'm an idiot in some ways, I guess, right? Because I'm like, I don't care if I lose money. I want to support the gun makers. Let's do this. And when I started talking to people who actually are in the business of selling parts kits, like take the Shield, for example, right? Relatively inexpensive gun. It's become popular in some parts of the gun making community, 3D printing community. So it's actually worth it for some guys to buy a whole gun through their FFL, destroy the frame, strip all the parts, and then sell it, essentially at the price that they paid for the whole thing, right? So that's what was suggested to me. Well, if this gun's going to sell for $550, sell it for $525, 3D printers will pay it. Well, no, because there's so much more involved in the taxes and the licensing and the processes and having to ship it to the wholesaler who ships it to the retailer and the background check. All that stuff that has to happen to get the real gun to the consumer doesn't have to happen if somebody joins Legio, logs into DefCAD, downloads the file, and then buys the parts kit that doesn't have to be regulated and doesn't have to be taxed in a special way. They get it's simpler, it's easier, it's cleaner. There aren't these steps of markup and incrementals. So, but the 3D printing community, I think, and let's go all the way back to me 2 years ago, we need to get more just regular average gun owners doing 3D printing and gun building. They have to want that gun, but they have to want to do it in their color, with their logo, with their whatever they're putting into it, a different palm swell, all the changes we talk, right? If they want this gun in their color with their logo or their birth date or their daughter's picture or whatever they want to put on it, they have to be willing to pay a certain amount to get the rest of the stuff to do that. That's not who's buying this, right? But there's somebody who's going to buy a 3D printer so they can get this in their own color with their own whatever stippling pattern, right? And I think that's super cool because then he's also maybe going to be the next Durwood and come up with things that we never even thought of.
I can't think of anything else we need to talk about.
Let's hug it out.
Yeah, hug it out, dude. Hell yeah.
PD10, get one or build one or something.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Hell yeah, dude.